I'm Karen, and I'm here with Kelly today to answer your grief questions. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay updated on our videos. They come out every Wednesday and Saturday. We'd certainly welcome your comments, your questions, anything that you'd like to add. We'd like to be, participatory if you can. It certainly only helps us to make sure that we are including content that will be of interest to you. So, Kelly, the question is for you today. How do I emotionally handle the inheritance I receive after a loss?
Yeah, it's a good question. And again, I'll be a little vulnerable with this. And so, if you haven't watched, my dad died in November. And so, I had to recently sign some paperwork for his life insurance policy. And it made me want to throw up, to be
Mm,
completely honest. It made me feel icky inside that I was getting any money because my dad died. But I also have to remember that my dad did this because he wanted to do this for us,
mm,
right? He was very something happened with my mother's side of the family, and things were not given fairly and equally when one of my grandparents died. And so my dad always said he didn't want that to happen when he died. And so my dad worked really hard to be able to give us an inheritance. And so I think for me, I've been trying to think about how can I use this to honor my dad and and um and also honor myself in my grief. How, I'm thinking about doing a ring, honestly, with a little bit
mm,
of the money. Just
good
something
idea.
to kind of have as that symbol of my dad. Um, but I want to just acknowledge that it's hard. It's hard to do this. And I talked to a colleague of mine, and she said she had the check in her safe for over a month after her dad died.
Mm,
That she just not was not ready to cash it, that she felt icky about it as well. And I think it's just a normal feeling. But I think we have to remember our loved ones did this for us.
yeah,
It's like their last gift to us in a way.
absolutely.
And it's an opportunity to maybe do something that you maybe haven't had the opportunity to do, or to help your children, or to improve your life in some way.
Yeah,
And maybe you do it in honor of them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an interesting thing because let's face it, we all need money. Just walk down the street, ask anybody, do you need money? Yeah, especially now, everything's expensive. I think we're all struggling, and so normally, if we were to get like a bonus at work, or if we won the lottery, or or even just got like a small amount from something, it would be a very celebratory type thing. We'd be really happy about it,
Mhm.
excited about it. Or if you got some big tax refund, which I haven't gotten in ages. I used to
Not when you're self-employed.
no, no, none of that. So, yeah, so it's like, getting that cash in other parts of your life was like something to feel happy about. So it's this really weird thing that happens, that like you can think about what you can do with the money, and then you start to feel bad. Like if any part of that feels like a happy or excited, and then it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm being happy and excited and my loved ones died. And so I do, it's so funny how often we talk about connections, but then I sometimes say we also need to break connections sometimes, and don't let your brain do that math. Like, okay, I got this money. I felt happy about the money. This means I'm happy that they're not here. And it's like, no, that's not what's happening here. The money has come. If it could be of some good use to you, as you said, Kelly, that's exactly what the intention is. That's what your loved one wanted. This is something that they probably felt a tremendous amount of pride to be able to do for you, whether it's a parent, whether it's a spouse. There is that idea of being able to take care of someone when they're not even here, and how wonderful that feels. So trying to tune into that, if there are ways that the money can be used to honor them, or to have some sort of keepsake or something that would feel meaningful. I mean, there's certainly other ways around it, but I do think it's important to try. There's so many other things to feel guilty about. Like, let's try not to pile on. Let's not add bad feelings on top of bad feelings, which we all, seem to do. But this doesn't have to be part of that.
Yeah. And I think, I've been noticing my sister's been very emotional about it.
Mm,
She's really has struggled with it. And but because I think we just have such gratitude for my dad that he just like he wanted to give us something.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was his love language, was always money anyway. That's how he showed his love for us. And so this was his last gift for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just not as simple like every other part of this process. It's like everywhere you turn, there's something else that's going to bring up a lot of complicated feelings, and maybe that's part of it too. You don't get to ever have just one feeling about something. There's all the layers that go along with it. So take your time with it, Kelly. I mean, you don't have to do anything right away, but I do think that your dad would want you to be able to enjoy it. And I don't say that in the way like, oh, your dad wants to be happy. But I think, from what you're saying, that was his love language. And we all love to be able to give things to the people we love and to take care of them. And so it is part of that, but it's hard.
Well, I'm going to tell you a funny story. So,
Yeah.
I think my dad never really thought I would get my master's degree. I wasn't the best in high school student wise, like I really struggled. And college I like did great. Like and so I actually found my card for my college graduation where I exceeded his expectations. So
Aw.
but so he always told me, "Oh, if you get your master's degree, I'm going to take you to Australia." Well, I've been out of school now, what, 22 years, and I haven't been to Australia yet. And so I always gave my dad a hard time about that. And he says, well, when I die, you can go to Australia. I'm
Well,
not sure I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to invest in my retirement, but
you never know. You never know. Oh,
so
well, I'll tell you, it's as you said, there's so many pieces, so many layers, so many things for a grieving person to have to manage. And this is just another example of that. And Kelly, you're right here in the thick of it with everybody. And again, we appreciate you sharing your loss and your dad with us as we go through these questions. So, to kind of summarize, what would you say to the question, how do I emotionally handle the inheritance I receive after a loss?
I think just acknowledge that this is hard, that this isn't, something that you necessarily, obviously, we would all rather have our loved one here than have
Yeah.
this inheritance, right? Just want to acknowledge that. But to just be kind to yourself, they set things up in a certain way to be able to give to us. And it's almost like their final gift to us. And
Hmm.
so maybe focusing more on the gratitude for them and the sacrifices they made to set things up the way they did
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing to, that's what I'm going to focus on. And that was really his last gift to us. And I'm very grateful.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you to everybody. Always glad to have you here, and we'll hope to see you again.